Welcome to Roots and Rest, where you can lay down the burdens of your day and take a moment to yourself. Tonight's story is called The Wind That Carried You Home. The wind arrived before the boy noticed it. It slipped between the trees in long, quiet breaths, moving through branches and along the forest floor, brushing past leaves as though it knew them well. It carried the scent of distant rain and something older, earth, bark, and the memory of places that had been walked many times before. Along a narrow path, where the ground was pressed gently by passing feet, walked a boy named Ash. His steps were steady, though not hurried. One hand rested against the strap of a small bag at his side, the other brushing now and then against the trees as he passed, as if checking they were still there. He had set out with a purpose. He couldn't quite remember when it had become unclear. The path behind him had twisted more than he expected. The path ahead seemed to do the same. Ash slowed. The wind moved past him again, a little more noticeable this time, stirring the edges of his coat. He stopped beneath a tall tree whose branches reached wide overhead, catching the wind and turning it into a low, gentle sound, like breathing. Ash listened. The forest did not rush him. It never did. Still, something in his chest felt tight, like a question that hadn't found its answer yet. "I think I've gone too far," he said, quietly. The words settled into the space around him. The wind moved again, brushing past his shoulder, then slipping forward along the path ahead. Ash watched it go, though of course there was nothing to see, only the way leaves shifted, the way small branches leaned, the way the air seemed to invite him onward. He didn't follow. Not yet. He turned instead, looking back the way he had come. The path curved out of sight, softened by the distance and the quiet sameness of trees. It didn't look familiar, not in the way he hoped. Ash shifted his weight, his boots pressing into the earth. He could stay where he was. Wait, think harder, try to remember every turn he had taken. Or he could move, even if he wasn't certain. The wind passed him again. This time it didn't push. It didn't pull. It simply moved, steady and untroubled, continuing its quiet journey through the woodland. Ash watched the leaves lift and settle in its wake. They didn't argue with it. They didn't cling to where they had been. They moved, then rested. Moved, then rested. Something about that made the tightness in his chest ease just a little. "I'll just take one step," he said. He turned, not fully forward, just enough to face a direction that felt possible. Then he stepped. The ground held, so he took another. The path he followed wasn't as clear as the one he remembered. It was narrower, lined with low ferns and fallen twigs. In places it seemed to disappear altogether, replaced by patches of moss and soft earth. Ash slowed, paying attention to where he placed his feet. Not carefully in a worried way, carefully in a noticing way. The wind moved through again, brushing past his arms, lifting a few strands of his hair before continuing on. It didn't wait to see if he followed. It didn't need to. Ash kept walking. As he moved deeper into the trees, the forest shifted around him. Not dramatically, just enough to feel different. The air grew cooler. The light dimmed slightly, filtered through thicker branches above. The wind was still there, though quieter now, threading its way through smaller spaces, finding paths Ash could not see. At one point, he came to a fallen log stretched across his way. He paused, looked at it, then at the ground around it. He could go round, he could turn back, or he could step over. Ash placed one hand on the log, steadying himself, and lifted one foot. Not high, just enough. Then the other. On the other side, he let his hand rest for a moment longer than needed, feeling the roughness of the bark beneath his fingers. "You've been here a while," he said. The log said nothing. It held its place, just as it was. Ash nodded slightly, though he wasn't sure why. Then he continued. The wind returned a little stronger this time, moving through the trees in a long, low sweep. Carried with it a different sound now. Ash slowed again. He listened. There it was, a faint, familiar rhythm. Not the rustle of leaves or the creaks of branches, something wider. He couldn't name it yet, but he felt it, somewhere ahead. The path began to rise gently beneath his feet. The trees thinned, their trunks spaced a little further apart. The wind moved more freely here, no longer weaving so tightly between branches, but stretching out, as if it had found room to breathe. Ash stepped forward. One step, then another. He didn't rush to reach the sound, or try to figure it out. He just kept going. At the top of the rise, the forest opened. Not completely, just enough. Beyond the last line of trees, a wide stretch of land unfolded, grass bending under the steady movement of the wind. And there, at the far edge, something familiar. A line of stones, a worn path, a place he had seen before. Ash stopped. The tightness in his chest shifted again, this time loosening in a different way. The wind moved past him, out into the open space, carrying the scent of the place ahead. Home. Not in a grand or distant sense, just in the quiet way a place can feel known. Ash took a breath, then another. He stepped forward, down the gentle slope toward the path he recognized. The wind stayed with him, moving alongside, then ahead, then behind. Never leading, never leaving, just there. As he reached the familiar stones, Ash paused once more. He looked back at the forest, at the place where the path had been unclear, where he had stood unsure. It didn't look so different now. Still quiet and winding, still full of turns he couldn't see all at once. But something in him had changed. He didn't need to see the whole way. He hadn't needed to understand every step before taking it. He had moved when he could, stopped when he needed, listened when things felt uncertain, and followed not the loudest direction, but the one that felt steady enough to try. The wind passed him again, gentler now. Ash turned back towards the path, towards home. He stepped forward, One step, then another, and the distance between where he had been and where he was going quietly steadily closed. Behind him, the forest settled, leaves resting, branches still, the path waiting for whoever might walk it next, and the wind, having carried what it needed, moved on, ready, as always, to meet someone wherever they happened to be.